Hello everyone, I am back with another video. I'm doing a 6x8 layout and I am going to pair it with a 6x8 photo. I'm showing you these heart stickers. They are one of my picks for the Nicole Jones Facebook group challenge, and I'm gonna use them all up on this layout. I just kind of randomly put them on the page. I just wanted to make sure that there's, two of each color, and I wanted to make sure those two weren't right by each other. But I just filled in the holes with some of those white hearts. I cut those out with my silhouette. I cut some vellum ones and then some plain white cardstock. And then that pile there to the right, they're white cardstock as well, but they're texturized and they have like a shimmer to them. But my idea here is that I'm just going to layer up these hearts. There's no rhyme or reason to my layers. Some have a lot of layers, some have not as much. At the time I was doing this, I didn't know if I liked the color of that green heart, and so I decided to tone it down by putting vellum on top of that. But other than that, everything else was just completely random, and I just kept layering until I liked what I saw. And then I decided to do some stitching on it. So I pull out this pastel pack of thread to see if there was a color that I, would want to put on this. And there wasn't one that I liked with all of these colors, so I decided to just do plain white. And as I was getting this thread ready, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to put it or what I wanted to do. And that started to scare me a little bit. I didn't want to stitch on something and then later not like it and have to redo it. So I decided to get a better idea of where I wanted to do it and where I wanted to go with this layout before I did that. So I took some of the hearts that I knew I liked them, and I pulled the stickers off and stuck the layers together. And the whole time I'm just thinking of what else I could do to this layout to add more texture, more dimension, more layers. And I decided that I would put on some wood veneers. So I pulled out my little jar, and this is how I store my wood veneers. It usually doesn't take me very long to fish out what I'm looking for. I'm wanting to put three hearts down to kind of form that visual triangle. So I kind of fuss with the placement of those a little bit. I really like the look of that, of the wood on the white heart. I think that's super pretty. But once I get these down and I have a better idea of where I'm going with this, I decide to tackle that stitching. And I am picking 2 of the white hearts to stitch on. I almost thought about doing 3, to go with that groups of 3, but I decided to just do the 2. And how I got that pattern of the heart was I just got back into my silhouette program, and I took that same heart, but I shrunk it down a little bit so that it would be smaller. And that's what I used as my pattern for those hearts. So once I got the placement of that pattern down, I took a needle and I just traced, poked holes to trace that heart all the way around. And stitching on your layouts like this does take a little bit of time, but it didn't take me really that long, and I really liked the look of it. White on white is one of my favorite looks, and so I really liked that bulky stitching in white on top of that white heart. I like sewing on my layouts in general, and I will usually do it with my sewing machine, but my sewing machine is broken. I took it to the shop to see if they can fix it, and they said they couldn't. And I brought it home thinking that while I may not be able to do a lot of sewing projects with it, I would probably be able to still do my scrapbook, put some stitching on my layouts. And I've tried it a few times, and it's just not even close to being worth the headache. So I'm going to have to break down and just buy a new one. So I layered the vellum back on top of those, and then I had to re-poke the holes into that vellum. That didn't take me very long. It was pretty simple to do, and I just did your basic stitch here. Whenever I sew like this, I just think of my mom and my sister because they were cross stitchers growing up. It takes me back to seeing all that thread around the house and their projects, and I could never get into something like that, but they really liked it. So when I got that done, I am deciding to just commit to these hearts how they are, and I start adhering them down to the paper. On the hearts that have the stitching, they're a little bit more bulkier in the back, and I didn't think it would adhere as good or look as good if I just used that tape runner. So how I decided to glue those down was I took this foam tape. That way it would stick up above that stitching, and also it would just add an extra layer of dimension to this page. And I really like this foam tape because you can cut it to whatever size you need it to, and also I like the thickness of it. Once I get these white hearts glued down, I pull those wood hearts back out, and I kind of forgot where I put them. So I was figuring that out, and I got them back at a place that I thought I liked them. So I adhered those with some glossy accents. And because you can see the adhesive under that vellum, I decided to just take those hearts that I used as my pattern and cover that adhesive up. And that was going to work good, except for I lost the other one. I didn't know where it was, and I could have cut it out, but I decided to just think on it a little bit and see if there was anything else that I wanted to do. I also decided I wanted to switch these two hearts around. That's a good thing about scrapbooking, especially with this adhesive. Everything is usually fixable. I change my mind a lot, so I see some scrappers use very permanent glue when they do their pages, and I just think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Because what if I wanted to move it? And so I usually use things that can be changed. I cut out several of the white hearts. I sometimes do that when I'm using the silhouette. I'll just cut out a ton of them. And so when I moved that wood heart and it kind of ruined that heart, I could just replace it. So I'm thinking about different things I can add, and I pull out these cork stickers that I got. I got these at Tuesday Morning. I don't get down to that part of town very much where we have our Tuesday Morning, but when I do, I love going in there and looking at their scrapbook stuff. They usually have really good deals. So once I get these on, I decide I don't like them at all. So I just, I decide against those. I'm still trying to find a solution to cover up that tape. I ended up ruining that one when I took it off, but that's okay. So then I pull out these word phrases, and I think that you saw that I had them on there earlier. And I realized at this point that I I put a heart, a wood veneer heart down where I was going to put this word phrase. So I decide to, I'm going to decide to rip off that heart, which ruins the heart underneath. But I thought that if I made these a little bulkier, then, you know, by matting them on that white piece of paper, that it would cover up the, you know, what's going to rip off from that heart. And I also got these at Tuesday Morning too. They're by Cosmo Cricket. And I think they bundled like 8 packages of them for $1.99. They were a super good deal. Some of the packs that they bundled together I didn't like, but I thought for $1.99, gosh. So when I ripped that off and it made that mess, I thought that's where I'd put that word phrase. But then I decided that those would be a good way to cover up those adhesive marks. So I just found a bigger heart to put on that orange sticker, and then I taped down these word phrases over the adhesive. So I think that was a happy fix for all of those things. So the last little thing I'm going to do here is put these enamel dots on that white heart, just to give it a little something extra. And I think the whole thing turned out pretty good and is exactly what I was wanting it to look like. So there's that side of the layout, and then here is the picture that I'm going to pair it with. And I think it turned out so cute. So I just got to get the date on it. I am using this Hero Arts ink, and I picked a gray color, and I'm just using the roller stamp to stamp this. I was looking for a spot that I could stamp. I thought about just stamping on the white paper, and I thought about maybe even trying to stamp on the photo, and I just decided to just stamp on the back. Something I don't do very often, but as long as I know where to place it in the album, I think it should be okay. But that is the final product, and like I said, I think that turned out super cute, and I was glad to get some of the product that I picked for my Nicole Jones challenge. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.